I'm Harrison Graham. Here's what's coming up on Chicago Bears Now. Some more national media Bears hype to the highest levels. We're going to dive into who had a big take this week. Keenan Allen, he talks about a possible extension with Chicago and his playing future. Tevin Jenkins with contract talks. Not so much. Doesn't feel great for Tevin at this point in time in terms of getting a new extension. So Keenan talks extension. Tevin Jenkins, is he not going to be getting extended? We'll talk about all of that here on today's show now that minicamp has wrapped up. All right, before we get to all that, follow me on Instagram, at HGramNFL. Bears takes left and right over there. Content that you can find exclusively on my Instagram page, at HGramNFL. Your support over there means a ton. Help us out. Let's keep growing. Welcome into Bears Now. Rich Eisen, the latest to jump on the Chicago Bears bandwagon, as he had some pretty strong words around what he think could happen for the Bears. Now, to be clear, this is kind of his best case scenario take, but still pretty bold. He said, when asked about Caleb Williams and the Bears, what it could look like this year, he said, I'm thinking more like Ben Roethlisberger than C.J. Stroud. I'm thinking more of like Dan Marino when they first started in terms of winning. I'm saying best case scenario for the Bears is this kid takes them to the Super Bowl. And you're like, wait a minute, C.J. Stroud had better rookie years than Big Ben and Dan. Well, got to remember, Roethlisberger's rookie year, he started 13 games, went 13-0, went to the AFC title game, and in his second year went to the Super Bowl. Dan Marino started like half the season his rookie year, but his second year, only year he ever made a Super Bowl. So he's kind of making the reference, like if things go extraordinarily well, Caleb could take this team all the way in year one. And that's that's bold, man. Like that's pretty bold to say any rookie quarterback could pull that off, but this kid's got a lot of talent. The NFC feels open-ish after the 49ers. Again, Rich Eisen did call this kind of the best-case scenario, so like he's not saying even necessarily that he's going to predict that to happen. But you've now got two pretty notable national media heads talking Super Bowl with the Bears. Nick Wright of First Things First, FS1. Rich Eisen, who's got his own show. He's part of the NFL Network as well. I mean, who's going to be next? I mean, am I going to do it next? I'm not ready to make that claim, but I'll tell you what. The hype, since I've been covering this team, not even close. It's never been close to this big. I would say 2019, after the double doink in 18, there was a lot of hype. It feels higher now. I mean, you could argue since they went to the Super Bowl in 2006, the energy has never been this palpable. Why are people on the Bears bandwagon? I pose to you, and we've talked about it a lot, and I'm going to give reasons of why they are and why I don't think this is like some forced, TV execs like telling Rich Eisen, hey, man, just give me a hot take on the Bears. I don't see that here. I don't think that's what's happening. The number one reason is Caleb Williams. There is a lot of belief both in Chicago, nationwide, in what this kid is capable of. He's got all the physical tools you want. You'd like him to be an inch or two taller, but it's not like he's Kyler or Bryce Young. He's 6'1". He's plenty tall. Rocket arm. He's thick. He can evade. He can do it all, and he knows what it takes to lead. I think we're seeing that already. Number two, this roster is pretty damn good. Ryan Poles has done a really good job. He's caught some breaks. He identified Carolina as a sucker team. They end up being awful the next year. You get the number one pick to get Caleb, so took a little luck, but they identified what they needed to do roster-wise, and you can make a decent argument. This is a top 10 roster in the NFL. Now, they got to go prove it, but a lot of pieces are in place. Number three, NFC, pretty top-heavy. This is not like the AFC. You can make a pretty compelling argument for at least 10 teams to make the playoffs. Think about it real quick. AFC East. You could make a strong argument for the Bills, Jets, and Dolphins as playoff teams. That's three. AFC North, you can make an argument for all four. The Bengals, Steelers, Ravens, and Browns. AFC South, Texans, Colts are pretty good. They were a drop pass away from making the playoffs. Jags, I still think, are solid. And then the AFC West, you still got the Chiefs, and you got Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers. The NFC's not like that. The North is tough. All four are solid, and I think, Minnesota's 4 out of 4, but they're pretty good. But, NFC South, it's like, okay, are you really selling me that Atlanta is going to be this 12-10 win team? Is Tampa going to be really good again? They might, I guess. Saints, I'm not buying it. NFC West, I think Seattle could take a step back. The 49ers are awesome, obviously. I think Arizona's a year away. Rams are good, but they're aging at key areas. NFC East, I think Dallas takes a step back. Philly should bounce back in theory, but like that was an ugly finish. Washington's not ready yet. The Giants stink. Like NFC's manageable, man. It's pretty top heavy on paper. And then fourth place schedule. Like you were 7-10 last year. Easily could have won 9 or 10 games. Since you choked a few of those games, it actually benefits you because you're playing a last place schedule. You get Carolina at home. You get to play a lot of bottom feeders. You get to play Arizona again. Like there are like 3 or 4 games that you should win and kind of in your sleep. So yeah, and if you get in and your quarterback gets hot and you got a defense that can travel, why not the Bears? Like I'm not sitting here predicting it in June. They're going to be in the Super Bowl, but like I am expecting a playoff push. Like get into the playoffs. Not like you're 6-7 and you might sneak in if you win your last few. Like no, like you should be in the playoff picture throughout the season. That's how I see it. So I'm not going Super Bowl talk just yet, but I understand why that's out there. There's a lot of reason. If Caleb Williams hits the ground running, if he has C.J. Stroud or even C.J. Stroud light type of season, the Bears roster is a lot better than what the Texans was last year. It just is. So it would not shock me. What are your expectations for the Bears this season? Are you like me where you're like, okay, let's make the playoffs, then we'll see what happens? That's kind of where I'm at. But I want to know, you can put that in words and record prediction, like what round of the playoffs. Maybe you don't have playoff expectations. Just describe your expectations in the comments for me for the Bears this year. Okay, Keenan Allen, he was asked about his playing future and his contract status this week. We touched on it briefly, but thought we would expand on it here as he said this. He said, I'm going to play as long as I can. As far as an extension, I'm going to let the play speak for itself, and if they offer me something that I like, we'll go from there. I'm just going to go out there, do what I always do, remain who I am, and the market just got reset. Kind of laughed, drew some laughter there. I've kind of said it, and I'll continue to say it. Like, you see how this market has exploded. You've seen a lot of guys get paid. All the top 10 guys are almost at $25 million or higher now, and Keenan's better than some of these players, certainly. The problem is he's going to be 33 next April. So, like, where's the compromise, right? Like, I kind of feel like whether it's with Chicago or another team, you're probably, if it's for big money, it's probably a 1 or 2 year deal. I would guess between 25 and 30 million. Mike Evans signed 2 for 41, so 20, 21 per year. But then a bunch of guys got more money. Like, I bet if he looked back at that, he's like, I probably could have gotten 25. I would think Keenan Allen would shoot for 25 plus. Now, maybe he loves it here, balls out, and takes like 20 to 22. But, like, you're not getting some, like, 15 mil a year discount. It's just not going to happen. Like, he wants to cash in one more time, I would think. So, if it was a 1 year extension, I'd give him $30 million because it's not going to hurt your future. It would line up with DJ Moore having 1 year left. Get 2 years of those guys together. Then you let Keenan walk and you extend DJ. So I'd be open to that, but we'll have to wait and see, what happens between the two sides. Before we get to Tevin Jenkins, Prize Picks sponsoring today's show. We appreciate it. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS. To get a first-time deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks is awesome because I've been a fantasy football guy my whole life, but, when I was younger, once football season ends, you're kind of just twiddling your thumbs. Not anymore. Not with Prize Picks. You can play daily fantasy, and even if you are just a football junkie, you got season-long stat projections that you can do. They also offer deals sometimes, like for game 1 they had Jason Tatum half a point. I love the Derek Lively play at half an assist. Took the more on both of those. If you're watching this after game 1, hopefully this hit for me. 25 to win 53. But if you're a baseball guy, you got baseball more or less stat projections. You got NHL. You can cross over your sports with your picks. 2 to 6 player entries. Choose more or less on the stat projections. You got celebrities playing Prize Picks. You can check out what people like Meek Mill and Andrew Schultz are doing with their entries. Get started right right now, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get that deposit match up to $100. You will not regret it. Support our sponsors, supports us also. You're going to make some money, so go check it out. Okay, Tevin Jenkins. No extension for Tevin? Well, he and his camp approached the Bears, and this is the direct quote he used. Nothing's on the table right now. Like, him and his camp approached the Bears, hey, what do you think about contract? We'd like Tevin to be here. Bears, yeah, we're nothing right now. And look, I understand, like, I think one thing Poles has been throughout his tenure, if nothing else, is honest. Like, if he's not ready to negotiate, there's probably a reason. I think this is that reason. He's missed a lot of time. Missed 11 games his first year because he had to have a back surgery. Missed 4 games in his second year, 5 games last year. Like, the most games this guy's ever played in a year is 13. Now, if you told me you'd get 13 games or more for the next 4 years, I'd extend him. But I don't know that to be the case. Like, I'm willing to accept that he'll miss 2 to 4 games a year. But, like, what you can't have is he misses 10 one year, he has a season-ending injury the other. Sure, maybe the other 2 of the 4-year extension, he plays 14 or more, but, like, that's kind of where you're stuck in the mud here. So, you know, Tevin was asked, what's his number 1 goal this year? Stay healthy, get through 17 games. So, if he does that, he'll probably get paid, and it might cost the Bears. The number would probably go up, but I think the Bears are willing to play this out because they want to see him get healthy, and I hope it works out because I think Tevin's really likable. He's a top 10 guard, in my opinion, in this league. He can play both sides. He can kick out and play tackle if you need him to. I mean, they've asked him to do a lot over 2 different regimes, and he's, I think, handled it all pretty well. So I'm rooting for him. I think he's an entertaining character to watch for Hard Knocks as well. So certainly excited to see him behind the curtain. Now, we'll either get extended before this season. I don't think so. I think they play this out and they revisit things next offseason. Again, with Keenan, older player, they want to see how Rome does. Like, if Rome is balling early, like, you don't need to pay Keenan $25 million. You could let him walk, get a nice comp pick back, 3rd-round pick, and then go sign, you know, a number 3 receiver in free agency, go draft somebody. Maybe Tyler Scott's ready for that role. With Tevin, I think it's about health. If he could stay healthy this year, I think they'll re-sign him after the season. And another option is maybe Tevin's a franchise tag guy where, like, the health is still a question. They don't want to extend him, but they want to keep him for another year. Could always tag him for 2025 also. Pick one to extend. If you could only extend one, who would you pick? Type KA for Keenan Allen, TJ for Tevin Jenkins. If you told me it was a 1-year deal, I would pick Keenan Allen because I think to have this trio for 2 years for Caleb's first 2 years would be pretty awesome. Long term, I'd have to go Tevin, even though it's the injury concerns, just because, you know, Keenan's 32, 33. I think his game ages well, but is he going to be balling at 36? I don't know. That remains to be seen. Okay, appreciate everybody for tuning in to Chicago Bears Now. Hit that sub button, turn on notifications. We will continue to keep you informed and entertained on all things Bears.